Hello, Mr. William Llop, who is running for the position of 11th District U.S. House Representative. I'm Trenton Adams. Welcome to the Cherokee County Republican Party candidate interviews. Thank you for taking the time out of your campaign to participate in this interview process. We've extended this invitation to all candidates in this race and sourced questions from the CCRP membership. We have found that it has been an asset for voters in making their decision. The video will appear on the Cherokee County GOP website and will be shared on social media. The interview will also be shown unedited in its entirety. For the interview, we will ask you a number of questions but can offer no prompting. There are no right or wrong answers, only your answers. We ask each candidate the same questions. If this is all right with you, I'll have everyone introduce themselves and then I'll ask John to begin asking the questions.
Thank you.
I'm John Longshore.
Harry Abrams.
Nice to see you.
Are you for or against a national ID card? Please explain your position.
I like a national ID card. Being able to be located on the database is a good thing. We pretty much carry around a driver's license. Wouldn't that be the same thing? I mean, wouldn't that be the same thing? A driver's license, would that work also? Do I yet have to carry another card? I mean, having ID is important. Okay.
What is your position on the Federal Reserve Bank? What is the biggest reform you would make to the Federal Reserve, and how would you achieve this?
Federal Reserve Bank, well, I mean, it controls the money supply. So, you know, I think we're artificially keeping interest rates low, but we almost need to because of what it would cost our nation to carry the debt. What was your next question?
Yeah. What is the biggest reform you would make to the Federal Reserve? And the third part of the question was, how would you achieve this?
Well, free market, it appears, would determine what the interest rates need to be, and you would just let free market control that.
What is your view on the balance of power in Washington among the executive, judicial, and legislative branches?
Congress does not appear to be doing their job by creating laws that can be agreed upon at the other levels. The President is coming in with the executive orders, and the Supreme Court is coming in with their interpretation of the laws. Congress needs to be clearer on what they're trying to accomplish.
The executive branch has more than 60 armed bureaucracies, including the EPA, the Department of Education, and the USDA. Yet the Constitution makes no mention of a federal police force. Please explain your position on the armed federal agencies controlled by the executive branch.
Well, I don't like them. I don't like bigger government. I think we have an Army and a Navy, and we should stick to that part of the process. The creating new and supposedly better ways to suppress people is unfortunate, and it needs to be stopped. Our government is too big, and we need to reduce the size of it.
What gun control laws and policy do you support?
We have the right in the Second Amendment to carry guns, and I think we should exercise that right and have guns available. I really don't. I think the feds have given us that right to carry guns and to have weapons, and states are in line to protect that right and monitor it at the state level.
Would you support a federal law permitting the right to carry a firearm across state lines?
Absolutely. It makes sense. I wonder how many people on vacation actually take their weapons with them.
Would you support immigration reform that includes securing the United States' borders?
That's probably the biggest problem we have right now, in that we have these porous borders. And Congress needs to go in and appropriate the funds necessary to stop the porous borders.
What is an inalienable right?
Are you talking about life, liberty, pursuit of happiness? Is that the three inalienable rights you're referring to?
What is an inalienable right?
Well, to live the way we want to live in free and free speech.
The right to life is a core principle of the Republican Party values. What are your exceptions in line?
Women have the right to choose, according to the Supreme Court. I believe that life starts at the conception, and that needs to be protected. And in order to do that, I think we need to educate people more on what is really happening to their bodies, and we need to educate families on how important this one opportunity that they have is. And they need to take advantage of that. I work with the pregnancy aid clinic. I'm on the board and have for some years now, and that's what it's about. It's about talking to families and explaining the value of what's really they have in their arms, and we need to protect life at the best we can.
Public office is not a career, but a calling to represent American citizens. Will you sponsor a House bill to abolish congressional retirement?
Sure. I think I think people need to go to Congress that should have a day job, and they go to Congress, contribute, and then get back to the workforce. So it goes along with term limits and retirement. Some people take their government jobs as a job, and I think in politics, I think you want to contribute, you want to give your 2 cents worth, you want to pass certain legislation that will correct the problem and go back home to your day job. And I think anything we can do to make that happen faster and better would be great.
Do you support congressional term limits, and why or why not?
I do support term limits. I think we have one of the problems we have in our government is even the way it's set up, that you go and then you are a junior and then you're a little more and then you're a sophomore. They need to stop that. They need to take people in Congress and in all of government for what their value is, and expect them to be short timers. And people, think that if you go in and spend time trying to, get seniority, that's really not the key. You got to go in, make your contribution, and get out. And yes, I support term limits. I would support a constitutional amendment for term limits. The fact that we have certain people that are in there for 20, 30 years. I mean, really? We need fresh ideas in Washington, and you can get fresh ideas in Washington by limiting the amount of time people spend there. So yes, I think it'd be great.
Have you read the current Republican Party platform adopted at the 2012 RNC Convention? And if so, what principle best describes you?
Gee, I haven't read it recently. The Republican platform stands for smaller government and less taxes and less regulation That's what I'm for. I'm for pro-life. I like term limits. I think people need to contribute and get out.
Do you believe that money has a corrupting influence in politics? If so, what steps should be taken to curb it?
Repeat the question, please.
Do you believe that money has a corrupting influence in politics? If so, what steps should be taken to curb it?
Well, I'm not sure how corrupting influence works. I think certain people are losing their values in order to pass certain legislation, maybe get money from other candidates, maybe get money from special interest groups. I think really if you just stick by your principles from the get-go and then plan on getting out, that's the future of how to stop money from influencing anything. If I have a rule, let's stick to that rule, and we don't have to have except for. And that's one of the problems with what I do every day in taxes and regulations is, you know, we have a nice basic rule that affects 99% of the people except for, and then we have special interests. And that's really the real problem. The real crux of the problem is special interests are getting involved in getting their little deductions, their little benefits, their little help from the government. And we need to stop that.
For over 40 years, women have had the legal protection to seek an abortion. Many object to this, citing religious belief. Do you believe that it is acceptable as a policymaker to cite your religious beliefs in crafting social policy that affects Americans of all faiths?
Well, I don't like those rules that are in place. I have 7 sisters, and they are, and 28 nieces and nephews, and they're making decisions. I think we need to educate our youth and hopefully change some of the attitudes that are taking place right now. Did I answer that question? Read it back.
Sure. For over 40 years, women have had the legal protection to seek an abortion. Many object to this, citing religious belief. Do you believe it is acceptable as a policymaker to cite your religious beliefs in crafting social policy that affects Americans of all faiths?
When the people of the 11th District put me in office, rest assured, all my votes will be in line with the people of the 11th as well as my own beliefs, because that's the reason why they put me in place, is to follow what people want, what the 11th wants, what the people of the 11th. And right now, we're looking for a slowdown in this process, and a slowdown in this process can take place through the education of our youth.
Last year, the Supreme Court issued an opinion legalizing gay marriage. Are you okay with this? If not, what steps are you willing to take to reverse this?
Well, I didn't like it, and I believe it would be great if Congress could just make a rule that says marriage should be between a man and a woman. The rights that are the rights of every individual is already guaranteed in the Constitution, and I believe relationships between same sexes can be contractual instead of marriage.
What is the single most important reform besides repealing Obamacare that needs to be made in order to get, that needs to be made to get our fiscal house in order?
Reducing the tax rates is one of the biggest problems we have right now. We have corporately, we have one of the highest rates in the world. The regulations that go along with larger corporations as well as small is choking America. We need to reduce the rates on the individual side. The rates on the individual side in middle America, we're just trying to pay our mortgage and put groceries on the table. I think what we're trying to do is if we can reduce those rates and stop the regulations, that will free up money, and when you free up that cash flow, that stimulates the economy because people will spend the extra money they have. And I think the rates are the main problem, or a main problem we have. Just today, when I have to call a client and say, gee, you owe this much money because, and we're paying these exorbitant rates where more than half the funds are going to taxes, and that's a problem. We need to reduce the size, free up cash flow. Okay?
Would you vote, excuse me, would you vote to re-elect Paul Ryan as Speaker? If not, please give us the name of the person you see as most fit to hold the office.
Paul Ryan came out of the taxing area. I look forward to working with him in January. He's a tax man. I think I can communicate with him and explain why certain changes need to take place. I really don't have a problem with Paul Ryan.
Do you support a balanced budget amendment?
Absolutely. But the balanced budget amendment is really, when you have automatic spending, which is accounting for 60% of our budget, and these are automatic renewals, we need to look and see how to cut back in that area. And a balanced budget amendment just makes sense. I'm an accountant by trade. I only know how to, watch cash flow and deal with charts and deal with, the money that's coming in and the money that's going out. And the fact that we're spending $1 trillion, $2 trillion more each and every year of what we're bringing in is ridiculous. We're mortgaging our future, our children's future. It's not ours, it's theirs. And we need to stop it, and we need to rein in spending. We need to cut the programs and cut the size of government.
How do you plan to reduce corporate inversions?
Well, it's back to the special interests again. I mean, the states have a very basic formula on how taxes are paid between states. We need to bring that type of rule to the feds. They compare labor and building and rent, and they weigh that between states, and we need to bring that internationally. The inversions are, it's a guise to move a company where there's no corporate tax rate with 2 employees out of 100,000. I mean, it's not right, and they need to just stop that rule. You've got these rules, you've got these treaties, and the treaties don't work anymore in that we now have a global economy. And under this global economy, I mean, how do we get free tax status to various countries? I know they're preferred, but we still, what's fair is fair. And we're not playing fair, we're playing to special interests.
Do you support the popular vote or the Electoral College, and why?
I like the popular vote, but the popular vote goes in and those procedures are in place to make sure that we get the right candidate. When we don't have a majority, there's rules in place that we need to stick with that rule. So I think the rules we have in place are okay.
What have you done in the last year to save money at work and at home?
Oh, well, I'm a budget man, so, we watch our spending. At work, we try to, we're dealing with 2 monitors now. We don't burn as much paper. At work, we're just moving paper, doing budgets. At home, how do we save? I don't know, I'm an accountant. We micromanage every dollar. What happened yesterday? Oh, yes. An envelope was acquired for shipping something to someone, and I explained to the power at home that the U.S. Postal Service actually supplies those envelopes for free. And it was only $1, but it was $1. So I would say that, being fiscally responsible is what, we all strive to do. I'm fortunate. I work with individuals and small business, and I help them set their budgets up every day. Be it on a piece of paper or on a big old spreadsheet, that's just pretty basic stuff. Where did you spend your money, and how do we stop spending money there? Or reduce it, and how do we? And we do that in my business every day through clients, through myself. I practice what I preach.
Are you currently a member of the Cherokee County Republican Party?
I am not. Fulton County.
We would like our elected Republican leaders to help us grow the party. Please briefly describe any significant efforts you have made in the past to support the Republican Party and/or Republican candidates locally, statewide, or nationally.
I think we need to get more people involved, and and I think we're doing that. I think this video helps. I think the young Republicans are doing a great job out there, motivating people to get more involved. That's one of our biggest problems is we have 2 in 10 people voting, and maybe 2.5 in 10 in May. Hopefully. I think the more people that vote, the better. I think we need to figure out a way to get more people involved, and the Republican Party is the values of the Republican Party is winning, at least in this area. Certainly in the 11th, those values of capitalism and working hard is what we need to do, and that needs to be portrayed. We need to get off we need to make sure more people are involved, and getting more people involved is the key.
All right, the last 2 tough questions. Have you ever been arrested or convicted of a crime excluding traffic offenses?
Arrested and convicted. Wow. No, I haven't.
Cool. And have you ever been subject of professional discipline or cited for breach of ethics or unprofessional conduct by any disciplinary committee, court, administrative agency, or other professional group?
No.
Thank you very much. Is there anything else you'd like to say to the people watching the interview?
Yes, thank you. My name is William Llop. I'm running for the congressional seat in the 11th. I've been an accountant for over 30 years. I've been contributing to helping our clients. I've been helping my clients through financial statements, tax returns, navigating through making their life better. I help other people through the church and some nonprofit work, Rotary and pregnancy aid. Our current Congressman, Barry Loudermilk, campaigned a year and a half ago that he would not vote for Boehner as Speaker of the House. The first day in office, he broke his word. In December, he voted in support of the omnibus spending bill, which added $2 trillion more to debt. We're $20 trillion in debt. That has to be stopped, and we need to put somebody in office that will actually stand up for what they believe. Stand up and not bend to the special interests. Reduce taxes, educate our youth, pro-life. These are things I believe in and I live them. I do what I say I'm going to do. And I would appreciate your support on May 24th. Thank you.
Thank
Very
you.
much.